What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some Phantasm Spiral duels for you guys to check out. Believe it or not, this deck actually topped a regional this format. I believe it was in the Midwest because it was on Asian Persuasion's channel, and that's generally where he goes to regionals, everywhere from Kansas to Oklahoma, stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely a deck that can beat an unprepared duelist, and it can be a very kind of like stunny deck. They run a whole bunch of like floodgates. They're really not affected by any floodgates also. So first duel, he's doing against Border Control. Necro Valley, incredibly powerful, but not against like Phantasm Spirals. They don't use the graveyard at all. He opens with Card of Demise, very solid opening. Necro Valley set 5, I think is really good if you're playing a stun deck. Anyways, he is going to summon Megalo Smasher X before going for Pacifist. I question that because he kind of missed out on a search here. If there's a reason he did that, it's unclear to me. He's going to lose his monster to Crackdown, which is unfortunate, but yeah, I feel like he should have played that a little differently. Border being the top deck, has to be set, cannot be summoned because he already controls a monster. And the thing about it and kind of the way this game state is, you don't really want to activate effects. If you ever find yourself kind of in an advantageous position against Pacifist, or excuse me, against Phantasm Spiral, you want to do as little as possible when it comes to activating cards, because if they have Pacifist, you activating any card can let them go +2, and you just don't want to do that. You'll see exactly what I mean. Flips over Border. Fine, he goes Sea Stealth Attack, and his opponent foolishly activates a card effect. This means he'll get that token. It also means he'll get himself a Surge as well. So again, it actually becomes not just a +1 off the token, but then he gets the Surge, and that would be a +2. He is going to try to use Sword to protect Border, but can't protect when he has 2 pops. He's going to activate Card of Demise, and since he gives up his token to the Sea Stealth Attack, that means he can produce another token. The thing, or the way the Pacifist works is, as long as you don't have a token on the field, you'll get yourself a token. So it's actually pretty strong of a card. I've said it before. When you have Pacifist, it feels like one of the best decks in the game. When you don't have Pacifist, it feels terrible. So this is going to be very interesting, and I don't think his opponent is going to learn his lesson. He's going to attack into the Megalo Smasher X. Sea Stealth Attack will give his token kind of that Ally of Justice catastrophe effect where it'll just destroy this. He says, I'm going to use Mirror Force. He's like, nah, dog, I'm just going to go ahead and chain my Sea Stealth Attack, and I'm going to get a token off of your Mirror Force. So he says, I'm going to attack you again. Mirror Force is not good against this, because when you Mirror Force them, you take the token off field, and then guess what? They just get another token. So I don't think he's understanding how this card actually works. As long as they don't have a token, they will continue to get tokens. He's gonna go Pot of Extravagance. He gets rid of his token. That means he gets another one, and this is the grind, man. Another like +1 there. And Solemn Judgment, super strong card, but not necessarily very strong when you actually are losing, when your opponent has a monster. Now he finally drew the out to the Pacifist in the Heavy Storm Duster. However, it's not really an out, because as long as he uses the Sea Stealth Attacks effect, he tributes the token, he can keep his Pacifist or he can keep that on the field, and it resolves even if this card leaves the field. Plus he's just going to give him another token and obviously a Surge. So I feel like this game is all but over. We might see a Solemn War here as he goes for Extravagance, and it looks like he's just gonna let him. How many cards is this guy drawing? I feel like he's used double Extravagance and the Card of Demise and still is not winning the game. Sea Stealth Attack loses or beats out Inspector Border. I think that he's probably tilted after those Mirror Force plays, in all honesty. I feel like he's almost... Is he gonna get a second copy of Extravagance? This dude has drawn like, what, 11 cards or something like that, and is still getting his butt whooped. Although, this could be the change that he needs. Fossil Dyna would stop him from summoning these nasty Pacifist tokens. However, if he does just draw, I don't know, if he has Megalo Smasher X, that will work as well. Not to mention, nah, I guess it doesn't matter. He has Battle and Power in his hand. Both of those can kind of out the Fossil Dyna. He's going to normal summon. That's met with Solemn. He says, I got a Solemn too. So Solemn Wars are won by the player who ultimately is going to win the duel, and that would be Phantasm Spiral. So I kind of feel like this guy at the top which is super unfamiliar with this matchup. I mean, he drew a billion cards and was still not able to ever make like a really big impact. Second duel is going to be against Salamangreat. These are two different builds, by the way, of like Phantasm Phantasm Spiral. This is a really bad hand against this deck. This could be potentially a great hand against like Sky Striker or a deck that Link summons, but this deck doesn't use its extra deck. It's like Guru Control. They're not using the extra deck, so he will be able to at least end on probably a copy of, he'll be able to end on at least Roar, probably get the Gazelle back to his hand. So it's not all terrible. He has some power cards. And the thing is, he probably will be able to eliminate this by using one of his, looks like he might actually just flip over. There can only be one. If you're wondering why he allowed him to use Pacifist and get all of these pluses, he knows that if there can only be one resolves against Salamangreats, like the game's over. They can't play under this card. So he basically has to save his Roar for this card specifically. Unfortunately, he's just going to snipe out the back row, which means he's going to chain Roar. There's really no difference between him chaining it or not chaining it. And kind of feel like the game was over at this point. He can flip over, there can only be one. He says bye-bye to, the Stalio for free. He did draw a top deck. He has the out. He has the rage. This can be the win condition if it doesn't get sniped, but of course, because it's on this channel, it gets sniped. And now he's basically back to square one. He has two 2000 attack monsters. Also, he's busting out that cheese. You guys know Mystic Mind players run this card, the Goddess Scold Erde. This is the card that kind of makes it so your opponent never draws anything useful. You constantly give them bad cards like hand traps against your deck. Give him another Phantasme, why don't you? I think he's going to give him Effect Veiler as his top deck, so obviously you can't use Effect Veiler in this situation, and the game is basically over. There can only be one. Just shutting him down. What was his back row? It was Demise of the Land. So I guess if his Pacifist somehow got destroyed, which was unlikely because he did have Sea Stealth attack, he would have been able to just potentially get it back anyways. And let's go ahead and go to the last duel. This is Zombie Orcus. Now this was one that could have been difficult because the thing about Pacifist is the whole all Phantasm Spiral, the deck really doesn't work if you control effect monsters, and by him forcing the Ibli to his opponent's side of the field, that could be a problem. So it's kind of like if Mystic Mind burn players ever get tokens forced to their side of the field, it can kind of wreck them. I guess a card that does that would be Lost World, I think, does that. So this could be a problem. He needs to get rid of basically the Ibli. His opponent is going to go for the Window Orcus combo. It's really strong against decks like Salamangreat, but again, this deck don't really special summon more than one time in a turn, so it may not be that good against him. He's going to get the Megalo Smasher, and he instantly shotguns on the Pacifist. I don't know about that, because now he's allowed to draw 3 cards off Demise. In addition to that, he drew the Tenyi monster, which is actually pretty good in this situation. Since he controls a non-effect monster, he can just bounce the copy of Dengirisu, so he gets rid of that. He also can attack into the Galatea twice. It was no longer linked. This not only meant that he was able to get rid of Galatea, but also the Ibli in addition to that. Flips over, there can only be one. Oh wait, I'm sorry, wrong floodgate. Flips over, lose 1 turn. They both have 1 in the name, and I was like, oh lord, that might be the kiss of death right there. Lose 1 turn, still good. I know that there was I think there was a Weather Painter deck in California that almost topped running multiple copies of Lose 1 turn. Really strong card. Now the thing is, right now, he does not have Pacifist. So if you were going to beat the Spiral Phantasm deck or Phantasm Spiral, this is the time that you have to be able to beat it. All he has to do right now, just keep in mind, do not special summon, special summon as little as possible. He should have just taken these 2 monsters, kept attacking, and see where the game went. But of course, he's gonna foolishly special summon. That allows him to use Demise of the Land. Now that he has Pacifist on the field, it's anybody's game. I mean, really, I don't understand why he's activating card effects. This guy has double Solemn Judgment, which, I mean, he doesn't know that he has Solemns, but obviously you can tell Solemns are not good if your opponent already has enough damage to kill you on board. And he's going to allow him to get that +2, which I feel like was not worth it, but maybe it will be. We'll see how it works out. He gets the token. That means he also gets a +1. This token can run over any of these monsters because of the Sea Stealth attack. It basically has that catastrophe effect. So he kills 1, he kills 2, and now I kind of feel like game is kind of in it. Like, I feel like it favors the Phantasm Spiral player because he can get rid of its tokens to summon more tokens to go +2, and it's basically a wrap. He's going to summon the Armageddon Knight. He loses out the Sea Stealth attack because nobody knows what this card does, except Duel Links players, apparently. He's going to pop the copy of Balerdrock and attack. Balerdrock should just come back if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Balerdrock is just going to come back because he does have Pacifist on the field. So at least there's that. I think he could go for a rank 8 Exceed because I think Balerdrock might be level 8. Or is it level... No, it is level 8. So he could go for an Exceed, but why would you lose one turn on the field? He's going to go ahead. He's going to pop the copy of Gizmek Orochi, and this is basically becoming a grind game where it is actually in the favor of the of the Spiral fans or the Phantasm Spiral player. He's going to use Solemn. Balerdrock comes back, but he finally gets that out because Balerdrock could have been a problem, but now he has Dimensional Fissure. That gets rid of it once and for all. Top decks the Impermanence, and he realizes, I gotta scoop it up. I feel like so many people do not understand how to play against this deck. It's actually one of the biggest reasons to kind of play and experiment with it, is because people don't understand, they don't understand not to do things kind of against the deck. Like, you don't want to activate card effects if you don't need to, man, because they'll just end up going plus every time you do. But I like this tech card. I like some of the Tenyi support. Not only does, Vishuda give you removal that you can use from the hand, so you never have to actually summon it, but you do get to run the Tenyi counter trap. That one also kind of works because it just basically becomes like an Infernity barrier. I'm surprised we didn't see it in any of these duels, but definitely a solid card. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the short duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.